You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And this is episode 24, Puzzle Games.
That's right. We are talking about puzzle games of all sorts. We've got an amazing lineup of tracks, starting with that song that we came in on. What was that little ditty, Justin?
Well, that smooth slice of butter was... I'm sorry, I can't keep this up. So the track that we just came in on was from an unlikely source. It was a Tetris game that came out on the CDI in 1991.
Right.
The track was called Level Zero, and it was composed by Jim Andron.
That's our first CDI game that we've played from.
It is, and it's probably the last. No. No, we're an equal opportunity player here. Honestly, that it needs to be worth playing.
Goodness.
And I will say that the tracks on this game are worth playing.
Absolutely. I was really tempted to not pick a track from this and just instead like hold it and then just do an entire episode on this soundtrack, because you literally could.
Oh yeah,
there's so many
That's
amazing
fair.
tracks. There's some tracks that are a little bit more like 90s-esque.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of these kind of slow jam tracks, kind of like smooth 90s R&B type stuff that you're listening to, or like Weather Channel jazz.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, Jim put together a lot of really relaxing tracks for this game. This game, from what I understand, it's not one of the better games on the CDI, which I don't know how you screw up a Tetris game, but it basically had two things going for it, right? So one was, obviously, if you couldn't tell, the music.
Yeah.
The entire soundtrack is very...
Boner jams.
Yeah, boner jams?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very boner jams, sure.
Yeah.
No, so the music it's very relaxing. It's very well put together. And then the other thing it had going for it was the backgrounds. So in like your classic Tetris games, you've just got your main screen, which is kind of a rectangle, and then off to either side it's like a black void with like your score or maybe the next piece coming up. This one, outside of the frame of the actual pieces, whatever you would call that area where everything falls, is like shots of nature, like a relaxing waterfall or like mountains.
It's super
stuff.
chill.
Yeah, it's totally chill.
Yeah, I'm down. I love chill games like this. It's just so relaxing and so like,
Yeah.
This track is like drinking a nice cold glass of ice water, you know, just like,
That's fair. Yeah.
so relaxing. I'm okay with that. With puzzle games, I mean, we're going to be hearing from all different kinds of music. A lot of it is kind of more laid back stuff. There's also some more bombastic stuff that we're going to listen to.
Yeah.
There's some more groovy stuff that we're going to be playing. We've picked quite a bit of range from all different types of systems and generations of video game music.
Yeah.
So Jim Andron, I've never heard of him before.
No?
But apparently he's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's done a handful of things. So he started off doing original music it says original music by Jim Andron for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's
in
on
1988.
the Amiga, the Commodore 64.
Yeah, so I'm guessing... So at first I thought original music by meant he did the music from the movie, but then I realized that that's definitely not true. So this is the original music in the game that is not in the movie.
I think
the
it's a
original
totally different
music.
game. Like the Amiga, Apple II, Atari ST, and Commodore version?
Yeah.
Like it's not like the NES game.
Correct.
Right.
It's a totally different game
And it's not
altogether.
like the Game Boy game either, which is done by Capcom.
Right. So he then followed that up with his Tetris game, and then let's just pick a couple other ones. Hanna-Barbera's Cartoon Carnival in 1993 he did the music on. The Game of Life in 1998
That's
he did music
the
composition, and
PC and
PlayStation.
PS1.
Yep.
Yeah. My brother was a huge fan of that game.
Yeah, I think I played
PC.
it on Windows, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then Pac-Man Fever in 2002, as well as Namco Museum in 2002, which I have a feeling that's a collection of games, and he likely did some of the music in the games that are on that collection.
Yeah, probably got hired on as a hired hand for the soundtrack, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's actually in a couple of the Namco Museum games, so I'm guessing he did a lot of work for Namco.
Yeah.
I mean, started off with Buena Vista developed Silent Software, so it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit was published by Buena Vista,
right,
but developed by Silent.
Right.
So
yeah, that was before like Disney had their own like development studios.
Yes.
Like they just made like Buena Vista games or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Indeed. So let's move into our next track, which is your pick. What do you got for us?
So we're going to hear a track from a game called Zoop. Z-O-O-P. Yep.
Not Soup.
No, not Soup. Zoop.
Zoop.
This came out on the SNES and the Genesis in 1995. We're actually going to be hearing the Genesis version of the track called Scattin' Bones.
Scattin' Bones.
By Bob Scumaci. Welcome back. That was Zoop on the Genesis.
Zoop!
Yeah, it also came out on the SNES. Both of those came out in 1995. The track was Scattin Bones, and it was composed by Bob Scumaci, as well as, I forgot to mention, Mark Davis, and music design by Brian Schmidt.
Instant clarification there.
Instantaneous.
Yes. I get why they called it Scattin Bones, but I guess the melody is Scattin.
Yeah, that.
But that bass line's all jazz.
Oh yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
Walking bass.
Yeah, like I guess I don't know. It felt like the main melody there was like kind of a mix of scatting and blues. You know?
Yeah.
Because those like the like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's more of like a blues era. You know,
that's
where
true.
like,
I mean, jazz built on blues.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of blues in jazz to begin with, and I mean, then scatting kind of came out of that whole thing.
Right.
So it all sort of flows into one another
Yeah.
if you look at the musical history of it. But at the same time, there's a lot of other tracks on this soundtrack that have names that don't necessarily match the actual
absolutely
what you're hearing. So I can kind of see it both ways on this one.
So why Zoop? And more importantly, why the Genesis version? Because I know you're not really a Genesis guy. Is this the beginning of the expansion of Justin's sound?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll say two things about the Genesis thing first.
Okay.
So for one, I'm trying to placate the Genesis fans that seem to think that I hate the Genesis or that I have this unbridled, furious, seething hatred.
I don't think anybody's really come out and said like Justin hates the Genesis.
No, they're too afraid because they think that I'm just gonna get all mean and angry.
They know you'll beat them up and steal their lunch
money.
Right, of course.
But I mean that's just not me. So
I'm playground of 3.
So for one, I'm trying to throw some more Genesis stuff out there. I am trying to broaden my Genesis horizons, I guess, because it's not that I don't like the Genesis music. It's just that a lot of the Genesis music that I heard throughout my personal history hasn't been handled by people who know how to handle the sound chip.
It's twarmpy.
It is. Yeah. Exactly. I often dance around that word because I forget how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But
twarmpy. Yeah. You know, somebody used it recently that was like
really
in one of the VGM podcast groups or whatever, and I was like, somebody said twarmpy.
Nice.
That's like our thing.
I sometimes accidentally say thwarmpy, which I think it's a combination of like thwomps from Mario. And,
right.
But so there's that whole side of it. There's the fact that I'm trying to find more Genesis music that I like, and I did like this this soundtrack. To just finish it up, I listened to both the Genesis and the SNES version, and I really did prefer the Genesis version.
Okay.
The SNES version, it's not bad, but I don't think it sounds as polished as this sounds.
Interesting.
And I think that's just because of the sampling.
You're a changed man, Justin.
Maybe. We'll see.
23 episodes, and I don't even know you anymore.
When did you become a 80-year-old smoker?
Don't worry about it.
And then as far as why Zoop, because the name is funny.
Really? That's the whole reason?
No, well, mostly. I played the game a handful of times, mostly on emulators. I never owned this when I was younger.
Yeah.
But it's a weird game. It's not actually a game that I'm particularly fond of. I don't like the gameplay itself. It's a little weird.
This was one of those games where like I would see it in game stores and I would just be like, Zoop! Alright, see you later, and then like not even bother picking it up. So I think I maybe played it once at like a friend's house or something like that.
Yeah, it's a weird game.
Yeah, it is.
I remember like I got into it because when I was in like high school and college and I was doing a lot of emulating and stuff, I would download the packs of every game for whatever system.
Sure.
And then I'd see Zoop and I'd go, what the heck is this? And I'd play it for 5 minutes and get bored of it and whatever. And then a few years later, the same thing would happen. Like, oh, Zoop, what's this? Like, what is it, James Wood in that episode of Family? Ooh, piece of candy. Piece of candy.
It's like me and Final Fantasy VIII.
That's a story we've told too many times.
Right. So, just to kind of briefly explain what Zoop is, it's the game board is like all dots, isn't it? And then like you
and it's only like in a cross pattern.
Right,
so
right.
It's straight up and down and left and right. There's no like the diagonal quadrants don't do anything.
Right. But you get like these shapes, like circles and triangles and squares or whatever, and you like the only thing I remember is like if you go to like I think it's like the edge of the board, like the piece will like kind of morph out like to the other section of the board or something like that. I don't know.
Something like that. It's like you're a triangle in the center of the board, and if I remember correctly, you need to like shoot yourself up to as the shapes are coming out and encroaching on you. You need to like shoot yourself out to them, and when you hit a piece, whatever shape that first piece is,
don't you like become that piece? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was whatever shape you hit, you'll clear all of those shapes in a row. So like, if there's like a circle and then 3 triangles, you'll hit the circle and you'll get rid of the circle and you'll go back and then you'll have to do it again to get the 3 triangles. Something like that.
So is it kind of like Space Invaders where like the pieces are like coming towards you?
But you're in the center of the screen,
right?
So they're
but
coming at you.
If any of them touch you, then you lose basically.
Right. If any of them encroach, like you're the square in the very center is your space, and I think if they encroach on that space, then you lose.
Oh,
so you need to like attack them and keep them out.
That's pretty neat. I mean, you know,
it's a cool idea, but it's really, really weird. Like having played it without having bought the game and having a manual, I could have looked it up online, but I mean, we're talking about the early 2000s.
Right.
It was really confusing, and like most of the issues I had is I'd play it and I'd be really confused, and then I'd be like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those games that I'd prefer to own on the Genesis just for the soundtrack alone.
The soundtrack is pretty fun.
I remember playing it on the Super NES and not liking the soundtrack, so I would probably prefer to get... I mean, Zoop's a pretty dirt cheap game. You can get it pretty much anywhere for like $5 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's worth it. So the composers, there's 3 of them, and I guess I'll do the easiest one. Mark Davis is the second composer, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And he's only credited for Zoop.
Yep, and then Bob Scumaci only has 2 credits, and that is Dragon's Revenge in 1993 and Zoop in 1995. And then we have that other guy I mentioned, Brian Schmidt, who is credited for music design. He has a lot more stuff in here, starting out doing music composition uncredited on Narc in 1988.
He did a lot of work for EA.
Yeah, I was going to say Nickelodeon Guts in 1994. Madden NFL 95 in 1994.
Harley's Humongous Adventure in 93. That's a really great game. That's very underrated for the Super NES.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those like little big games where you're super tiny and you're going through a world that's super big.
Oh, yeah.
It's really fun.
That's neat.
Yeah. And it's got a pretty good soundtrack too, if I recall.
Yeah.
So his last game, it looks like, was Mutant Football League.
In 2017.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
That just came out. He was labeled as the audio director. So that's really cool that they brought him back for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did Mutant League Football in 1993.
Because before that, his last game, before Mutant Football League, was Aaron versus Ruth Battle of the Big Bats in 97.
Yeah.
So 20 years.
He took 20 years off.
Yeah, basically. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Cool. All right, we're going to move into a PS1 game. This is Puzzle Star Sweep. And again, came out on the PlayStation 1 in 97. This track is labeled Sitora and Mint, and it's by Mitsuhiro Arisaka. Thanks for joining us back from that ending credit theme from a random 90s anime.
I was thinking the same thing.
Right? No, that was Puzzle Star Sweep, which came out on the PS1 in 97, and the track was Sitora and Mint, and it's by Mitsuhiro Arisaka. This game is part of the Star Sweep, I guess, the Puzzle League series, but this one's a little bit more like Tetris.
Oh.
It's kind of like a Japanese spin-off of Tetris, if you will, or a Japanese take on Tetris. It was developed by Axela, who I've never heard of before, never heard of that developer. And it came out on the PlayStation and the Game Boy in 97. I've not checked out the Game Boy version. Apparently it also came out in Japanese arcades too.
Oh.
Same year, no clue. But this is the PlayStation version specifically that we played from. This, if you looked at the cover art for this, or if you're watching the YouTube version of this episode, then you would have seen the cover art. A lot of these games that came out had these like really budget conscious art, where the art on the cover art was not great and it was super generic. It looked super generic and the name of the game was super generic. In the US, this game was called Puzzle Star Sweep, but it was just called Star Sweep in Japan. And it was actually published by Namco in Japan, and it was published by A1 Games in the US. So obviously a unknown publisher taking a chance on a game that never came out in the States.
Yeah. And
they wanted to bring it to the States back in the day. There's a lot of games that are like this, where, you know, they came out in the PlayStation 1 because the PlayStation 1 was so hot. You know, everyone had a PS1.
Yeah.
So it kind of was one of those consoles that you could risk putting out a game that nobody has heard of, because there were so many people that could potentially buy it that, you know, you may get somebody to buy this game. So everything that I've read about this game, like, people love this game if they've heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, you're like, what is that? What? The point of the game is you're playing as one random anime-inspired character. I don't know. They're just like anime, you know, cut out. They're very cookie cutter looking. They're, you know, kind of cutesy. They're kind of not exactly chibi style, but not more like exaggerated anime style, I guess you could say. Yeah. And you're going around, moving around an island in the one-player story mode that has you. Pits you against different like opponents, computer-generated opponents. And again, they're all like, you know, just cutesy anime type character type things. The game obviously gets harder as you go along. The way that you play this game is very similar to Tetris. The blocks are always rising, and the blocks are based on different colors. So you have red, yellow, and blue. And so what you would do is each piece either has a star on one end, or the other end, or both ends. So, or none, if I recall. So what you would do is you have to line up the stars with the colors, and if the two match up, then the pieces go away. And the whole point of doing this is the goal is to do like chains. Kind of like Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, where you would like chain like gems, like it would crack one giant gem and then they would fall, and then that would make a giant gem, and then that would crack that gem. It's kind of like this, but it's thin blocks. Yeah. So the blocks fall, and then the other blocks fall, and then those chain together. So it's kind of like you're trying to do a chain reaction sort of win.
Yeah, like a lot of the gem games that are the gem puzzle games that are out now, or like Puyo Pop,
like Bejeweled, like and yeah. Yep. So, and there'll be like these cloud-looking things that will like stack up, and those are pretty much what almost always kill you. Is you'll get these like clouds that stack up, and you can't get rid of them unless like you
do like a special combo or something.
Yeah, I think you gotta just like get the pieces that have the stars on them on the clouds, and then they disappear. If I recall, I haven't really played this game. I only watched like some gameplay footage, so kind of like learned as I went. Yeah. As far as how to play the game, but it looks really cool. And I love this soundtrack. I mean, it's just so happy and bubbly, and definitely, as I said before, it sounds like the music that you'd hear in like the credits of like an anime from like the 90s specifically, you know?
Yeah. I was listening to this one earlier today, and the link that you had shared that had the cover art looked really, really cutesy. Like it looked like an anime that I might have seen at some point in the 90s.
Yeah, and just like super generic. Right. Yeah.
But it was cutesy.
Yeah. So the composer on this one, Mitsuhiro Arisaka, worked on Paka Paka Passion in '99. They're credited as Camel Latin artist. Other than that, they only did Puzzle Star Sweep in 97. So nice, short and sweet. It looks like we're getting a call.
Yeah. Janine, you want to pass that over? And let's see who we've got. This is XVGM Radio. Who is this?
Don't you speak Q-Bert?
I mean, I speak a lot of things, but...
you took your course in Wreck-It Ralph University, right?
I did, and I just have to say, Q-Bert, I appreciate the call, but we have to let you know this is a family show. Please keep the language appropriate.
Maybe you can, do you think you can respond to him at all?
Yeah, I mean, my Q-Bertese is a little rusty, but...
I heard something about pants coming off in that one.
No, that's just the dialect. He actually wants to hear a classic track from his NES title.
Oh, very easy to get those two confused.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just a little instead of
Gotcha.
That's the inflection.
Well, thanks for the call, Q-Bert. We could definitely play that. So we'll play a track off of Q-Bert, which came out on the NES in 1989. The track is Finale Congratulation, and we think it's by David Thiel, who did the arcade version as well.
Yes. Welcome back. That was Q-Bert, which came out on the NES in 1989. The track was called Finale Congratulation, and we believe it was composed by David Thiel, who also did the arcade OST.
Right. I gotta admit, I really haven't played that much Q-Bert.
No?
No. I did just, it's not a bad game.
I haven't played much Q-Bert lately. I played it on the NES when I was a kid. It was actually a game that a friend of mine owned. So when we'd hang out at his house, we would play that along with like Excite Bike and some other stuff.
Right.
So I have some fond memories. I don't remember it well enough, unfortunately. Well, I feel like I don't remember it well enough because aside from the fact that it was this weird, neat little isometric thing.
That was always the thing that confused me about that game, is the movement. Like, so it's a... I don't know, like, I guess you could say like a pyramid set up in a way. Because like the way that the blocks are, you can move either left down or right down. And that was it. Pretty much that was the only way. Or I guess you could say upright and... No,
I don't think you could jump up. I think you could only jump down.
No, I thought you could jump up.
Can you?
Yeah.
That's...
I'm almost positive you could jump.
It's been a while.
I'm almost positive you could jump only diagonals. Like
correct.
Down, like down and to the right, down and to the left, up and to the right, or up and to the left. Those are the only ways that you can move. It's kind of similar to Pac-Man, where like you're just it's kind of like a puzzle kind of style game where you're like trying to change the colors of the layout of the level.
Yeah, the goal is to jump on every block once. So like at the beginning, jumping on every cube once is enough to get from
kind of like
stage
a puzzle
1 to stage 2.
platformer.
Yeah. But as you get on, some cubes or each cube needs to be hit twice to get the target color. Basically, just like you were saying, like you need to change the color of the cubes, and they all need to be the same color in order for you to move on. And in doing so, there are a number of enemies that
like
will
snakes.
Yeah, like I think his name is Coily. Yeah, Coily is a like a purple snake thing. Then there's Ugg and Wrong Way, which are purple creatures that hop along the sides. And then there's Slick and Sam. They're green things that move down the pyramid and revert cube colors that you've touched. So
those guys were always a big pain.
Yeah,
I remember those. Yeah. It's a fun little game. This track in particular kind of brought me back to like that more classic NES sound. Yep. That you
Simpler
would hear.
time.
Yeah, like the song itself didn't have a lot going for it in terms of like it being a very busy track, but it felt very lighthearted and easygoing. Very similar to like Excite Bike, or Mach Rider, Urban Champion, those types of games that were coming out, like the Black Box NES games, Tennis, and all that type of stuff. So it wasn't like super complex, but it did come out in '89, so it still had like a very warm tone to it.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's mostly how I remember this game. Like I said, I haven't played it much lately, but I remember it warmly or fondly.
Yeah.
The composer on this one, like I said, we're going with David Thiel because I couldn't actually find credits for the NES. So I'm assuming that the arcade music was either arranged or converted for the NES. David started out in 1982 with a game called Reactor. He did the sound on that. Q-Bert and Q-Bert's Cubes, which came out in 1983. Mad Planets, 1983. Beam Rider came out in 1984. Rockin' Bolt came out in 1985. Winter Games came out in 1987. And then the last game he did music on was Disney's DuckTales, The Quest for Gold. And that was Amiga, Apple II, Atari, Commodore 64, and DOS.
Right. Yeah.
Computer game.
So not much to say on that one. It's Q-Bert. It's a pretty fun game if you've played it before. If you haven't, definitely check it out because it's a neat little puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move into a game that is pretty interesting. This is a neat little gem that I found by Lord Tim Fallon. The game is from Puzznick. That's the name of the title. And the game came out on the Amiga in 1990. And this is the title screen music by, again, Tim Fallon. Welcome back to XVGM Radio, and that was a funky, funky jam from Puznik, which came out on the Amiga in 1990. That was Title Screen, and it was by Lord Tim Fallon.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know why I said it like that, but let's roll with it.
Funky fresh is what I would call that.
I was really enjoying that one. I love the funky bass line that's like almost like a synth bass.
Yeah.
That do.
Yes.
And then you've got, as soon as the main melody comes in, you know it's a Fallen song. Like you just and actually you were commenting on that on the break.
Yeah. Because when I was listening to the tracks earlier, I wasn't paying attention to the information about the track. I was just like clicking the links and listening, and it came on, and I was just the first thing that went through my head is this Tim Fallon track? And then I was like, oh, it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's not common for me to be able to identify those things unless it's a composer that I'm super familiar with, and there's only a handful of those. So it was just really cool that I was able to pick that out, because it is like it feels very similar to a lot of the other stuff that I've heard by him, that I like by him, and it was just so nice.
It just made me feel so nice.
Yes, it felt like I was free falling.
Oh.
I live for your booze.
Puznik, I don't know. I've seen it on different like consoles and computers and stuff. This game has come out for like everything. Like you name it, it's probably come out on it. It started off on the original arcade version, then it got ported to the Amiga, the Amstrad CPC, the Atari ST, the NES, the TurboGrafx 16, the Game Boy. I'm missing a bunch. The ZX Spectrum, PS1, Sharp X68000, and even the FM Towns.
You forgot the TI-83,
right?
The wristwatch calculator.
Yeah, the Tiger Electronics. Yeah. So there's apparently been a lot of clones for this game, but
you're not surprised.
Yeah, this one is developed by Taito, at least as far as like the arcade goes, published by Taito as well. The Amiga version specifically, though, I think was published by Ocean Software.
I was just going to say, I think it was published by Ocean on most of the consoles. Ocean,
I would even
Ultron, there's a few different publishers.
Yeah, definitely the computers, like the European computers, like the C64 and the ZX Spectrum and the Amiga, for sure, the Amstrad CPC, all those more Western style PCs. It's pretty clear that it most likely came out through Ocean on those. Yeah. What's interesting is that the Japanese arcade version and the FM Towns version has adult content in them.
Really?
Yeah, like if you finish the level, there's like a naked woman. So
wow,
digital giblets.
Digital giblets
indeed. So but yeah, this is an interesting one as far as the puzzles. It's kind of similar to Flipple, also known as Plotting, which is made by Taito.
Yep.
All right, so the way that this game is played is you have this like brick-looking outline that's kind of like the border on the outside, and then on the inside of that, there'll be different shaped levels, and all like like golden blocks or whatever, stuff like that. And in those, you'll have puzzle pieces that'll be all different shapes inside squares. There'll be like a yellow diamond or a red circle or a green like cylinder. Yeah. And what you have to do is you have to move those pieces with a cursor and line them up so that you can match the two pieces. Oh. And then once you match them, they go away. So the whole point of the game is to make these pieces go away, and you only have a certain limited amount of time to do that. So that is the game in a nutshell.
Neat.
Watching gameplay footage, it doesn't look like the sort of game where you can lose easily. So I kind of feel like, and I mean, again, I didn't play this one just because I don't have an Amiga, but I would assume based on what footage I did find for the game that it feels like it starts off easy enough, and then maybe the time is a major concern for the game. So I'm thinking that maybe people lose because of the time, not because of them not being able to actually do it.
Yeah. I mean, as the levels go on, it looks like the pieces and the shapes get more sort of complicated. So it may not necessarily even be a thing of like losing due to messing up. It might be a situation of just like giving up, like, oh, this is too hard.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, the amount of pieces grow in number. So you're going from like 5 or 6 pieces each level to like 20 or 25 or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but Tim Follin needs no introduction. He is one of the best European composers out there. Pick, I don't know, 4 games off the top of my head: Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge on the Super NES and on the Genesis, but way better on the Super NES. He did Ford Racing 2 and 3, some later games that he worked on. And Rock and Roll Racing, he did the audio programming, not the composition,
right?
For that. And I don't know, Plock.
Oh yeah,
Super
no Plock.
NES. Yeah, we'll do one more. Target Renegade in 1990.
There you go.
Solstice as well. Okay, that's 5. All right, I'm done. I could go on.
You're not talking about Solstice on the NES,
yeah.
Right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. Love Tim Follin. Great composer.
Definitely.
So, and this one, it's just reeks of Follin.
It's
so good. We'll move on to your next pick.
Yeah, so next we will listen to a track that sounds very ominous by the name. It's called Almost Dead. The game is called IQ Intelligent Cube if you are in North America. If you're in Europe, it was called Kurushi.
Ooh.
And it came out on the PS1 in 1997, and the composers on this are a mix of people. So we have Takayuki Hattori and Kozo Araki were the coordinators, or the sound coordinators, and Akihiko Shimizu is the producer, sound producer. Welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Almost Dead from Soul Calibur. That was off of IQ Intelligent Cube in the North America region, also known as Kurushi in Europe. Came out on the PS1 in 1997. Composers are Takayuki Hattori, Kozo Araki, and Akihiko Shimizu.
I've not played this one.
To be honest, neither have I.
Okay.
I've seen it played by a mutual friend of ours who introduced me to the game, and I am going to have some trouble here because I can't really explain how this game works because it's really weird.
Okay.
Basically, you're like a person in a stage, and in every stage there's a cube, like a big cube made up of smaller cubes.
Okay.
So, and then those cubes sort of come at you, and you need to activate some of them and avoid others. So there's three different types of cubes. There's normal cubes, which are gray, and they're supposed to be clear. Like the object of the game is to clear the cubes in each level. So normal cubes you want to clear. Advantage cubes are green. And they should be cleared, and clearing them gets you some kind of a bonus.
Okay.
And then there are forbidden cubes, and those are black. And if you clear them, it's not good. Like, you're supposed to let them fall off the stage or just let them be. Otherwise, you get penalties. The game looks really weird, and I'm sure if I had a moment to like take a look at a manual and sit down and I did try to sit down and play it once, and after a few minutes of frustration, the controller was taken from my hands. But yeah, I mean the game is called Intelligent Cube, so it's not just a mindless puzzle game. Like there is like thought and logic involved, and I'm pretty sure at the time I was not interested in putting thought into anything.
Gotcha. So this one, I'm assuming it takes place when you're almost dying in the game.
This track, yeah. This is the like, oh, you're not doing too well track.
So is this like where you've cleared too many black blocks?
There's a number of ways you can get in there. Either not clearing the blocks that you're supposed to be clearing, and not having enough sort of space to move around in, so that you're basically you're limited and you're kind of trapped, or you've cleared too many forbidden blocks and you've taken too many penalties or whatever. But this is definitely the you ain't doing too hot track.
This is a really pretty obscure puzzle game, and I think it's just not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I like this music, though. I mean, musically speaking, you pretty much nailed it when you compared it with Soul Calibur. It really does feel like a boss battle in Soul Calibur. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for musically with this, but
I would doubt that they were going for Soul Calibur, but the composition is there. Like this is clearly, I mean, on the PS1 you had some games were Red Book audio fully orchestrated, and some games were more MIDI, and this is clearly one of the games where it's fully orchestrated. Like this isn't MIDI at all, and I think they were just going for something that was more symphonic.
Yeah.
The other tracks in this game are actually it's a mixture of stuff. Some of it is fairly relaxing. Some of it is kind of the opposite of relaxing. Actually, I don't find this one too stressful. Like it's definitely not a relaxing track, but it's not the most stressful track on this soundtrack.
Okay. I would say that this track, to me at least, if I had heard this, I would deem it as a kind of a stressful track.
Yeah.
I mean, the use of the string arrangements definitely kind of build fear.
Oh yeah, and the horns in there.
It's when the horns come in, it makes it feel a little bit more whimsical.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess you could say, but those strings are straight up horror movie. You know what I mean? I picture like a teenage girl running through a hallway, running away from a slasher. Like one of those slasher flicks.
Yeah. Like Jeddy or Fraison.
Jeddy or Fraison, exactly. At first I thought you said Jenny, like the girl's
Jenny
name
from the block?
Yeah, Jenny from the block. Yeah. So, all right. So, what about the composers on this?
So, we got a couple people here to look at. We've got Takayuki Hattori, started out doing arrangement on Mami Inoue Konohoshi ni Tata Hitori no Kimi in 1992, and that was a TurboGrafx game. It looks like it was Hudson Soft dating sim?
Okay.
That type of a thing.
Like a visual novel dating.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Then moved on to Intelligent Cube in 1997, Kurushi Final Mental Blocks in 1998, and as I mentioned, Intelligent Cube is also called Kurushi, so this is a sequel to that.
Oh, okay.
And then went on to do music for Ark the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits in 2003, and Ark the Lad, End of Darkness in 2004. And then we have Kozo Araki. Kozo Araki has 2 credits, and they are both the Intelligent Cube Karushi games that I mentioned earlier in 97 and 98. And then finally, we have the music producer on this, Akihiko Shimizu. Much more stuff here. Started doing music production in 1994 with Crime Crackers. Went on to do one of my favorite games on the PS1, Wild Arms, in 1996.
Okay.
Yep. Crime Crackers 2 in 1997. Alundra in 1997.
I think maybe he was on as a co-composer for Wild Arms because...
All of these are music production.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I don't see anything here that is composition. I did music supervision on Legend of Dragoon in 1999.
I was going to say, because there's a different composer that worked on...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, on all of the Wild Arms games.
Yes, definitely. And it looks like he was a recording director on Wild Arms 2 in 99.
Okay.
Last game, he was executive vice president on Dead Rising in 2006.
Okay. That's a pretty good list of composers, and we're going to move into a really pretty obscure, wacky puzzle game.
Was this obscure?
I would consider it obscure. Not as obscure as IQ,
yeah.
but I would say that this is still pretty obscure when compared with, stuff like Tetris. But this is...
well, yeah, I mean, my mom plays Tetris,
yeah.
So that's unfair.
Your mom plays Tetris.
I mean, my grandma played Tetris.
Yo, your mom plays Tetris.
Nice.
Sick burn.
So
this is Catherine on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. This came out in 2011, and it's composed by Shoji Meguro. The track is It's a Golden Show.
Hey there, my name's Catherine, and I'm red hot and waiting for you to pick up the phone and call me at 1-900-PUZ-CUBUS. If you call now, you'll encounter plenty of girls just like me who are ready and willing to solve all your problems. Literally. Got a puzzle that is just too hard for that silly little brain of yours? Why not get one of our ladies involved? Our girls are accredited by Mensa and MIT and have a thing for puzzling up the night. So, what are you waiting for? Call 1-900-PUZ-CUBUS so we can help you drop your blocks into our empty slots and Tetris the night away. Call now.
All right, thanks for listening to XVGM Radio. That track was by Jamiroquai.
Might as well.
Yeah, Catherine on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, which came out in 2011. The track was It's a Golden Show, and no, Justin, it's not It's a Golden Shower. So that was composed by Shoji Meguro. So you've not played Catherine, right?
No, I've watched. I don't think I've seen it played all the way through, but I've watched some of the gameplay, and it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So kind of going back to Q-Bert, it's very similar to Q-Bert in terms of the level layout. So it's all pyramid shaped. So you play as this character named Vincent, and he is basically this guy who is not really ambitious. He doesn't really have any kind of direction. Just kind of like a bachelor, lifestyle. But he's been with this woman, Catherine, and her name was with a K. And she's, going places. She's, working, and she works for like a clothing manufacturer. And, she, I guess, reconnected. She knew him in high school, and then they reconnected, and they ended up starting to date. And they've been dating for a while. And, she's at that age. She's 32 years old. He's 32 years old. And, they're at that point in their lives where they're, they may or may not settle down.
Right.
And Vincent is very like, whatever, kind of go with the flow. And Catherine, with a K, is very much like, hey, I want to, let's get married. Like, let's move on to that next step in our lives. And so Vincent ends up meeting this other woman named Catherine. And it's kind of alluded in previous cutscenes that Catherine with a C, a totally different woman.
Yep.
Much younger. She's like 22. Very bouncy, free-spirited. And she is kind of like this succubus character that devours men or murders men or whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously lures them into spending the night with her. And so that ends up happening with Vincent. He wakes up one night and he realizes he had a one-nighter with this woman, Catherine, with a C. Mm-hmm. And so he flips out, and that's kind of where I'll leave the story, because that's pretty much where the demo leaves the story. But the gameplay takes place in this like pyramid world, kind of like in a dream state, where you're going around. Vincent all of a sudden has like sheep horns or like ram horns on his head, and you're trying to get to, if I recall correctly, you're working your way up from the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid.
Oh, that's right.
And this game is really difficult on anything but easy, and even on easy, it's pretty tough. Like, it's...
Yeah, I remember that being the case.
Yeah, really, really difficult. But that is the game, pretty much. And, I can't remember the specifics, but there's sheep involved, there's pillows, there's all different wacky moments in this game. But yeah, you're essentially trying to avoid Catherine, who is trying to climb the, if I recall correctly, it's like a race, almost, where you have to figure out how to get to the top in time to avoid Catherine, who is trying to get you from the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
So like the blocks turn black, if I recall, as you are going up the pyramid. So you have to stay away from the black. If you end up getting touched by the black or whatever, then you lose. It's game over. You start the level over. So
yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but that sounds right.
Yeah.
Also, as a disclaimer, the game contains adult themes.
It does.
I don't think there's any actual adult content, but
it's not a game for kids.
So you may not want to suggest this game to children.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's much more a mature rated game. It is mature rated.
Oh, that's right, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff. But yeah, anyways, this track, let's talk about this track. It starts off with that very warm, vibrant piano kind of sad, somber kind of feel to it. And then it just kicks off into this like Jamiroquai, like gotcha kind of moment.
Yeah, I really like the sort of funkier elements to it. There's a number of things in there that I in my head I've dubbed the Daft Punk sounds. They're sort of techno-y.
Yeah,
it's not a really techno-y song.
Probably those drums are making it sound kind of techno dance-ish.
Well, not just that. Some of the synth sounds that are more in the background. Overall, like I agree with what you said. It leans more Jamiroquai than it would ever Daft Punk.
Yeah,
but just some of the sounds, like I feel like I've heard that sound in Around the World,
right?
Or Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really liked the way that they took those different sounds and put them together in a way to make this song. That was the vaguest thing I've ever said.
So Shoji Meguro has pretty much worked with Atlus exclusively, working on Persona in '96. Is pretty much stuck with the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona series, working on almost all of them except for... almost all of them. Also worked on Trauma Center, Second Opinion, and Trauma Center Under the Knife, as well as Trauma Team. Yeah, all those Trauma Team and Trauma Center games were pretty cool. So his last game was Persona 5 in 2017, where he was the main composer. So now we're moving from a more obscure, very adult game to a very kid-friendly game.
Yes.
What do you got for us?
So we are going to hear from Scribblenauts, which came out on the Nintendo DS in 2009. The track is New Frontier 1, and it is by David J. Franco. You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome back. That was New Frontier 1 from Scribblenauts, not to be confused with Scribblenauts Unlimited. Scribblenauts, the original, came out on the Nintendo DS in 2009, and this was composed by David J. Franco.
Yeah, I thought that this was not a puzzle game.
Right.
But apparently it is.
Yes.
So explain yourself.
Yes. So Scribblenauts is a side-scrolling game, and what makes it a puzzle game is in every level you're in a situation that you need to figure out how to get out of.
This is a real puzzle platformer.
Yes. Puzzle platformer, exactly, because there is platforming, and the way that you solve these puzzles is by summoning objects. I'm trying to remember how you summon them. Do you draw them?
Don't you put words
yes.
in? So you put in I don't know,
ladder or
chicken
Cthulhu,
pot pie
or chicken pot pie.
Lemon pie or
cheese,
cannoli pie. I don't know why I'm stuck on pie. I must be hungry. So
I have a cannoli pie in the fridge at home. I should have brought it, dude. But yeah, so you write the words on the touchpad, and then the game attempts to recognize what you have written and then materialize it in the upper screen.
I remember being blown away with trying to come up with stuff like random stuff, and they would try to produce it.
Yeah,
and
it was like almost always it would work. Like I remember doing something similar. Like I would type in like Bugs Bunny, and it wasn't Bugs Bunny, but it put a rabbit up there.
Yeah.
And then they put more stuff in the sequel in Unlimited. I think they even had some licensed characters, if I remember correctly. You could put in Batman.
Yeah, they had like a DC version, if I recall. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was a DC version then that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, they had a DC version where you could like put in Batman, Superman, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman and all that stuff.
Yeah. But even on this version, you could do some relatively silly things. Like I believe you could put in Cthulhu, and it would summon an elder god. And all of a sudden you're screwed. But yeah, I never really got that far in this game because I ended up just using it to see what goofy, stupid things I could write and make it display. But overall, it was really neat and really incredible for what it was when it came out. Like some of the examples of things that you could do, like you needed in one of the levels, you basically needed to make a helicopter in order to get out, and then get a rope and attach the rope to the helicopter so you could climb up it and stuff like that. But it was just really incredible that you could type anything you want down the bottom and the game would almost always throw that item into the game.
Right. Yeah, I'm almost positive I picked this one up at launch.
Yep.
And I got bored with it pretty quick, but I thought it was pretty fun while it lasted. I really love this era of the Nintendo DS's music. This game, as well as Drawn to Life.
I was actually just going to mention that one because it's by the same composer.
Yeah. So David J. Franco really kind of nailed that, like, playful, almost like sandbox or children's toy vibe. I love the simplistic, like, claps in the beginning with that that funky kind of bass line. Yeah. And then right before the song actually kicks off, you get that like really weirdly lazy from the kids.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why that's so funny to me, but like I just really love how it's just like
Fair enough.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
But speaking of David J. Franco, they started off doing music on a game called Frazzled in 2003. That was a Windows game, published and developed by Midnight Synergy. Then went on to do DNA in 2006, and then, as you mentioned, Drawn to Life, The Next Chapter, Scribblenauts, Super Scribblenauts, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Scribblenauts Unmasked, a DC Comics adventure, that's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
And then Scribblenauts Remix in 2013.
Gotcha.
Those were all over the place.
Yeah.
But the non-drawing games here, Frazzled, DNA, Lock's Quest in 2008, Run Roo Run in 2012, and then finally Lock's Quest again in 2017.
So, yeah, I should check out Drawn to Life 2. I think I own it, actually, but I haven't started it. I did beat the first one, and I really liked it. And I don't know, it held my attention a little bit better than Scribblenauts did.
Yeah, Scribblenauts was cool, and it was a really neat idea.
Yeah.
But I feel like it sort of suffered from a lot of the same thing that a lot of the early-ish DS and like Wii games suffered from, in that it was really gimmicky, and the gimmick was awesome, but it just, like, I don't know, I feel like I have a similar problem with games like GTA. Like you play for a little while and then you just end up killing people and whatnot, and then the game loses all meaning because that's all you end up doing. Same with this. It's like, it's really cool, but eventually, like, I didn't care about playing the game, I just wanted to throw words in there. Looks like we're actually getting another call in, this time on the Patreon line. Janine, can you send that over? Let's see who we got.
Caller, you're on the air with XVGM Radio. Who's this?
Hey guys, it's Cameron, with a W. Say, in the event you just happen to be doing a puzzle games episode at the moment, would you be able to play the Caucus theme from Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords? I just really like the sound of a giant hammer hitting a giant anvil. It makes me want to rush off into battle involving gems and shapes sliding around on a screen to break other gems and shapes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure, Cam. We could definitely play that for you. So this is Cam Werma's patron pick, Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords on the Nintendo DS in 2007. This is Caucus's theme, and it's by Mark Durrell, Bart Rogemans, Jan-Louis Koopmans, and Ruud van de Moesjuk. Thanks for joining us back on XVGM Radio, and that was the patron pick of this episode. That was Cam Worma's pick, and that was Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords, which came out on the Nintendo DS in 2007. The track is Calcus's theme, and it's by a bunch of composers, which have very difficult names, which, I don't know, I'll hold off on explaining.
We'll come back to them.
Yeah.
For now, I just want to talk about how much Enya contributed to this song.
Sail away, sail away, sail away. If that did not pop... Yep. If that did not pop into your head while you were listening to this, then I don't know. You're wrong.
No, it was a good song though. I do dig that hammer.
This one really made you think. It's one of those tracks where when you're listening to it, you're like, I am thinking about how to proceed in this game. Have you played this game?
No, not at all.
You've not? Okay. So, I don't know if I bought the game when it came out or if I played the demo. I think I bought this game when it came out.
On which system?
On the DS.
On the DS?
Yeah. And it's an interesting game. It got pretty difficult from what I recall, but it's like a predecessor to like smartphone puzzle games, because smartphones weren't really a thing back then. I mean, you had like Palm Pilots, but you didn't really have
early.
Yeah, I don't even know if Blackberries were out at that point. I can't remember. Maybe like they were just starting to come out with Blackberries, but either way, like you weren't seeing these kind of games or this level of depth of a puzzle game on a system that wasn't a portable.
No, I mean they had like Bejeweled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
PopCap games, there were Flash games and stuff, but this is, from what I'm seeing, this is definitely deeper than that. I mean, Bejeweled was just, here's a level and do some things, and this, there was, like, you had an opponent and stuff, like, there was more to it than just gems on a field.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's essentially a Bejeweled-styled game, but it's supposed to simulate, like, combat.
Yeah.
So you're fighting different characters, and it was kind of like a weird mix as far as the visual goes between like anime and like more classic traditional style, like very fantasy-esque, like Lord of the Rings kind of style,
like medieval
fighting, fantasy,
swords and sorcery type stuff. Gotcha.
Right. It also came out on like the Xbox 360, came out on the Wii, the PS3, the PlayStation 2, PSP. Windows, Mac OS X. I mean, you name it, it's been out on it. So this version for the track, just to clarify, we could not find the DS version. Even if we tried to get a rip of the DS version, I wasn't able to find it. But this version is pretty much the same on the PSP, which is the version that we played. So, yeah. It didn't really have much of a difference. I think this
we were listening to the
port.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, it's turn-based as far as the gameplay goes. So you have all these different colored gems, and then you've got these different, like, skull icons as well in there, like all different types of tiles. And the whole point is to get, like, 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6, 7, or 8 in a row, for example. And when you do that, then you get, basically attacks that are, causing damage to the enemy. So that's at least the goal. You can get spells and also companions during the game, too, which will give you, like, bonuses.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty fun game, if I recall. Regarding the PSP, I think that the AI was more challenging than the DS version, I would say.
That's what I was seeing as well.
Yeah. So the DS version and the PSP version both came out around the same time. But apparently the PSP version has a bug in it that the DS version does not. But I think they continued to come out with these games for a while. So Mark Durrell is the first composer on this one. Started off in 2004 with Wars and Warriors Joan of Arc. And later on did Strategic Command 2 Blitzkrieg in 2006. The Neopets puzzle adventure game in 2008. And their final game was Gems of War in 2014. Did the music on that one. So that's just a few games out of their roster.
So Bart Roymans started out doing music and sound on a game called Euroman in 2001. Ben 10, Protector of Earth in 2007. That was another Nintendo DS game. Princess in Love in 2009, another DS game. Mahjong 3D Essentials in 2013. And finally, Disney Frozen Olaf's Quest in 2013.
Jan Louis Koopmans, sorry if I butchered your name, but worked on CT Special Forces 3 Bioterror in 2004. They developed the sound engine on that one. Also worked on State Shift in 2007, Puzzle Quest in 2007, and their final game, audio-wise, they did the music conversion for Bejeweled 2 Deluxe in 2010.
And then Ruud van de Moestic. They did sound effects on Think Kids in 2008. They did music composition on Polar Bowler in 2008. And then sound design on Princess in Love in 2009.
So most likely just like mobile and Facebook type games.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah. It looks like the last thing that they did was in 2013. They were executive producer on SpongeBob SquarePants Plankton's Robotic Revenge.
Ah, interesting. All right, so we're going to move into a classic track from a classic composer. This is Tetris Plus on the Game Boy. This came out in 1996. The track is called Gnosis, and it's by Iku Mizutani, my favorite composer.
Nice.
Welcome back to XVGM Radio, and that was Tetris Plus on the Game Boy that came out in 1996. The track was Gnosis, and it's by Iku Mizutani, my favorite composer, my man's Iku Mizutani. Great track. Love this song.
My man.
So what do you think of this one?
It's definitely an Iku Mizutani track.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that was something that I could tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
I really like the sound font that was used in this. It sounds like... It feels like a level theme.
Yeah, I mean, that driving bass is just the star of this track. That do. Yeah, really just love that. And he's always done such a great job with driving bass, galloping bass, and really just like crunchy, tight drums, which I love. So he also did the music on the PS1 version and I believe the arcade version, Saturn version of this game as well. So it was developed by Natsume, but it was published all over the place, depending on what system it came out. When it was published by Nintendo, for the GameCube, but then like Jalico published it on the PS1. I think Bulletproof Software published it on the Saturn.
Wait, it was on the GameCube too?
No, the Game Boy. Yeah. So, but this one, it's pretty cool. It's battery backup, so you can save like the high scores, which is really nice, unlike the original Tetris Game Boy. In my opinion, this blows the original Tetris out of the water. Yeah, you've got the simplistic, easygoing Tetris with the Russian tracks or whatever, but this one has far superior music, obviously, because it's Iku Mizutani. But on top of that, you get two different main modes in this game. You get classic mode and puzzle mode. Classic mode is pretty much just Tetris. But then the puzzle mode is really cool. You're going to all these different stages located on different parts of the world. So the Maya stage, Knossos, Egypt, or Angkor Wat. And then the final area is Atlantis, and it's unlocked, obviously, by completing the other 4 stages. So the whole point of this one is you've got this little archaeologist dude that's like running all over the place, and you've got to get him to the bottom of the level as fast as possible. So you're basically constantly trying to get Tetris. Yeah. So that way you could lower him down to the very bottom of the level.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just realized I've never played this game. I've played a number of Tetris games, but I've never played Tetris Plus. And that sounds pretty cool. I like the sound of the puzzle mode.
But what's really annoying about him, the little like guy, because you've got also like a cutesy anime girl as well, who's kind of like also you're like on your team, kind of like guiding you or coaching you, and then you've got this archaeologist dude who kind of looks like if the Michelin Man was like a mini version, or not the Michelin Man.
I was gonna say, you calling him fat?
The micro machines guy.
Oh yeah.
He kind of looks like that, but he's got like very exaggerated features, like a big giant nose and like a big furry mustache, and like he's super tiny, and he's got like a giant hat. You know what I mean? So he is super annoying because he keeps climbing to go higher on the blocks. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, get down.
I'm supposed to get you to the bottom.
Right.
Stop climbing.
Right.
What a jerk.
What a jerk. Right. So that is it. But yeah, this is a really fun game. It's harder to find now physically. Like, you could get the PS1 version anywhere. Like, it's all over the place. And of course, the Saturn version, you're paying for the Saturn tax.
Right.
If you go to buy it, because it's going to be more expensive than the PS1 version. But it's the same game, pretty much. But the Game Boy version's harder to find just because you don't really see it. I mean, you'll find like Tetris Blast, and you'll find the original Tetris, but Tetris Plus is a little harder to find. So definitely keep an eye out for it if you're hunting for games. I collect games with Eika Mizutani soundtracks, so this was like one of those games I picked up and just completely
you already have this. Huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, tell me about Eika Mizutani. I've never heard of them.
Oh, yeah. No, never heard of them. Where do I start? Shatterhand. Let's go there. Shadow of the Ninja. Don Dokodon 2, which has a really cool soundtrack. He did a game called Hinotori, which is a really fun game on the Famicom. A lot of his games didn't come overseas here. He also did Sagaya on the Master System.
Okay.
And did a bunch of games. Power Rangers Time Force on the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue on the Game Boy Color. Action Man on the Game Boy Color. Just so many amazing soundtracks and games from this guy. Pretty much almost everything he's produced is gold, in my opinion. But, I'm a little biased.
That's fair.
And, of course, we interviewed him on Pixel Tunes Radio.
Yes.
So I was lucky to pick his brain. So go listen to that episode if you're interested.
No, just go listen to that episode. It's a really good one.
It is a really cool episode. So, yeah. All right, so we're moving into
my last pick.
Yeah, your final pick. What do you got for us?
So we are going to go with a game that came out on the Wii in 2008 called World of Goo. And the track is called Rain, Rain, Windy, Windy. And it was composed by Kyle Gabler. Welcome back. That was Rain Rain, Windy Windy from World of Goo, which came out on the Wii and everything else in 2008. I mean, I say everything else, but it was like the Wii and
it started with
systems.
the Wii.
Yeah, it came out on the Wii first,
yeah.
and then like phones and like Steam and whatnot.
I think the only way to play this game is on the Wii, though, honestly.
I mean, touchscreens work fairly well, too.
Yeah.
Like I've played it on Android, and it's not bad.
That's
true.
But
the first time I ever played it was on the Wii, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far in it, but I did like it. This is a very whimsical track.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a very whimsical game, which I was
the game, too, yeah.
Yeah, but this track is also, yes, very, very whimsical.
Well, the game... I guess I would say initially it kind of starts off kind of depressing because like the whole point of it is you're playing as these little goo balls, yep. And they're all coming out of this like factory and like what are you like progressing from like level to level to like destroy the factory or something like that? I can't remember.
Sort of. So the game itself is built around the idea of creating structures using these balls of goo. There are different types of balls that do different things, but they like attach to each other in different ways, and you basically need to help them get from one area to the other. Each level, so there's 4 chapters and an epilogue, and every chapter has its own sort of setting. Like the first chapter is set in like summer, second chapter set in fall, and like every level in the chapter sort of has its own sort of feel and theme to it, which is kind of neat. But I'm going to flip the script on this one a little and just talk about Kyle Gabler real quick.
Okay.
His audio credits are really just World of Goo in 2008 and Little Inferno in 2012.
Right, which I think were both done by the same developer.
Yep. Yeah. So Kyle Gabler, aside from just doing the soundtrack to this game, also designed, wrote, and illustrated the entire game. So not that he was the only person that worked on it, but he did the majority of stuff that went into this game. Like this was basically his game. It was developed and published by 2D Boy.
2D Boy?
That's the name of the company.
Okay. So, yeah, I remember playing this when it came out, and I remember it was a big deal because it was like the first, other than like Lost Winds, it was the first online like WiiWare game that you could buy.
Oh, that's right.
That was like a really good game. It wasn't like shovelware. Yeah. So it was pretty cool to play a game like this and to let your friends know, see, Nintendo Wii does have cool downloadable titles.
Yeah. Aside from the whole homebrew channel,
yeah,
which you had to hack for, but
well, I mean, that's if you wanted to download games. Are you talking about if you wanted to download games for free?
No, well, there was a whole extra piece to. I don't think it was the homebrew channel specifically, but there was a lot of games like indie games that you could get through there.
Okay.
Or that you could get for a modded Wii that you can play via homebrew.
Yeah, like Smash Brothers, for example. They modded Smash Brothers into a thing. I think they called it like Project M.
Oh,
or something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
But
I think they tried to make it more like Melee, like Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
But yeah, and it was a really fun game and really really cute in certain ways. Like you said, the first level is kind of depressing.
A little Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this game and that other game that you mentioned.
Oh, Little Inferno.
Little Inferno. Yeah. Very if Tim Burton made games, it'd be similar to this. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into my final track. This is a great track to close us out, and it's another Wii adventure, or I guess you could say puzzle game. This is Zack and Wiki, which came out on the Wii in 2007, and the track is called Descent of the Oracle, and it's by Shinya Okada and Tadayoshi Makino. Welcome back to our final track. That was Zack and Wiki Quest for Barbarossa's Treasure in the 2007 Wii release. That was my final pick, and this track was Descent of the Oracle, and that was by Shinya Okada and Tadayoshi Makino. So I wrote up some lyrics for this one.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
Yeah. Because I'm listening to this, and I'm like, this sounds a lot like Piano Man by Billy Joel. Does it not?
I mean, I can see where you'd get that. I wouldn't have made that comparison, but I have a lot of much love for the piano tracks.
Let's hear the lyrics.
Yes.
Sing us a song, Zack and Wiki Man. The sea rabbit's fortune is near, for the treasure chest is found with a Wiimote scan. Captain Barbaros lives for your fear. Ah, na na na, Zack and Wiki. I don't know.
I love it.
I was bored.
You should complete the.
I totally should.
Do the entire song.
Yeah.
We'll record it as a special patron track.
There we go. I don't know. So, have you played this one?
No.
Oh, man. We should totally play this one.
I'm down.
It is a blast. It is also a great game to play with friends. Like, really, really fun to play with friends. I got this one when it came out. What's really funny is nobody still talks about this game. And what's crazy is it's one of the best games on the Wii.
I feel like were there multiple Zack and Wiki games? Okay,
just this
then
one.
I've heard of it.
Yep.
But I don't think I've ever played it.
It's got a really great art style that kind of reminds me of like Mega Man, like the early like Mega Man Legends games kind of a little bit. You even have like a little monkey guy. So you're playing as Zack and Wiki. Wiki is your little monkey buddy, and Zack is this like pirate guy. You end up joining this pirate gang called the Sea Rabbits. And what you're doing is you're trying to help this Captain Barbaros find all the pieces to his body. So you're going through this area called Treasure Island, and you're trying to pick up all these pieces. But you get the pieces by moving through the levels. And as you move through level by level, you use the Wiimote to do various different like actions, things like you have to like pull levers or like pour liquids into things, turn keys, all different kinds of stuff. You could also shake the remote, and when you do that, it reacts like a bell, and that helps out Zack. Basically, you're ringing Wiki, the monkey, like a bell.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Kind of helps you out with solving puzzles and whatnot. But this game I really enjoyed, and I got sucked into it, but then I just like lost steam because it got to a point where like I was not playing with anybody at the time. Like I started playing it with friends, and it was a lot of fun. And then I got to a point where I got stuck and nobody else was like around to help me with trying to figure out where to go. And this game is like one of those games that you could really play with friends. You know, like get a bunch of your friends together, you sit down, you start playing this game, and you try to figure out what to do, where to go. It's not like the traditional action platform or anything. It's an actual like puzzle game because you're trying to figure out, well, you know, in order for me to advance, I've got to do this, this, and that. So it's kind of like a puzzle trying to put everything together. Almost like Mousetrap in a way. Because like you're trying to make something react to what you're doing.
But yeah, this sounds like a pretty fun game though.
Yeah.
I have to check it out at some point.
I think you'd really dig it. And it's got a fun, carefree plot. The whole point of this track is this track plays when you die. So if you lose...
So this is the track you hear when you die.
This is the track you hear when you die. So what happens is there's this... I don't even know what you'd call her, like, or it. It comes down, it's got a big red nose. Really goofy clown nose, and then like a floppy like doll wig on. And I don't know if it has makeup on or not, or if she has makeup. I really don't know like what it is that you are doing, but this character gives you the ability to get another life in the game. So you have to like buy your way back into the game based on items that you find, if I recall. So it's been, like I said, it's been a really long time since I played this one. Like I probably haven't played it since it came out. You know, this one got rave reviews. Like critics, this was like a critical darling for a game, and it came out and it got completely like nobody cared about it. Like it just got completely ignored.
That's
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate because even though it was targeted as like a family-friendly game, it's got such a great like Japanese charm to it, and the word of mouth just didn't get it out as good as it could have. You know, I think right around that time, you know, Capcom had a lot of great success with the Ace Attorney series.
Oh, yeah.
And so they came out with this game, and it just didn't do that well for them, unfortunately, even though it critically was a smash.
Yeah.
It got tons of awards.
Awards and honors, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that ultimately it did sell okay, but I think it only sold about 300,000 copies worldwide. But cool game, didn't sell well. Highly, highly, highly recommended that people go check out this game. It's a really fun little puzzle game that you can play with your friends and really seriously sit down and play with your friends.
Yeah.
I cannot think of any other better way to do so. So that's our show.
Thank you for listening. So, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Alex Messenger, Scott McElhone, Cam Worma, Chris Murray, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Jordan and Anson Davis, Chris Myers, Peter Panda, The Autistic Gamer 89, and Mixmaster. If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGMradio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
And if you'd like what you've heard, please consider giving us a rating on iTunes and a review.
You can also join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at www.facebook.com/groups/XVGM Radio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself.
And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both of those sites is @XVGM Radio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links will be in the show notes. So what do we got coming up next?
So next up, we are interviewing somebody.
That's right. It's an episode that ends in 5. We're doing an interview.
Yeah, we seem to be lucking out when it comes to composer interviews. Every episode that has a 5 in it, like 5, 15, 25, we've been able to get a composer.
We're going to have to line a whole bunch of people up for the 50s.
Yeah. So we are interviewing the composer to Freedom Planet. Her name is Layla Wilson, or Leilani Wilson. She also goes by Woofle, which is an adorable name.
Yes, it is.
So I'm really excited to talk to her. I think she's going to give us a lot of insight on the Freedom Planet soundtrack. It's kind of like a love letter to Sonic. So this is another single game spotlight, but I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about Freedom Planet 2, which is rounding the corner, should be coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
In the near future, so that'll be pretty cool. So very excited for that one. Stay tuned in 2 weeks for Freedom Planet and Layla Wilson. This is Mike
and Justin
signing off for XVGM Radio. So we'll play a track called Q-Bert.
No, we won't.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So we are interviewing the composer to Freedom.